Right then, hello. Um, Today, I seem to be on a little bit of a roll with these tier lists by simply doing one of them and adding something to it later. But it's a tier list I've always wanted to do because it's a decently beefy amount of things to rank, and I feel like there'll be definitely a big fluctuation among these um tiers as to what goes on them. So we have every episode, not including Michonne or 400 Days. Um, because I feel like 400 Days it can't really be ranked because some parts of it are very good, some parts of it are not. And Michonne sort of I can't even remember, to be honest. So without further ado, we're gonna just do them in order. So we've got season 1, 2, 3, and 4 here. I've just chosen an image that I found um, that most reminds me of the episode really. We'll start off with we'll have to move some of these earlier ones at the start because this is just something I missed in the last tier list I did with all the games. Is that the first one you put, what I didn't move, but Mando Dan would probably be further up the list if I'd have moved it afterwards, but I'm not doing it now. We're on about this one. So this is a sort of variation on the tier list I've already made. I've just sort of removed the bottom. There will be a Wout. I'm not sure if there'll only be memorably bad. Wout might be something that actually could be on a C tier, but it's the worst one, so it goes to F. But I can't actually perfectly remember exactly everything that happens in each episode, even within the context of the whole situation. Especially with season 3. I mean, I remember everything about the other episode, but season 3 is just sort of a blur to me, even though I've played it and watched it through about 4 or 5 times now. So, we'll start off with episode 1 of season 1, A New Day, the only pre-apocalypse visions we get, really. Now that I think about it, other than memories shared in season 4 and some memory shared everywhere, to be honest, but memory shared in season 4 compared to like a weighted higher. Season 1, episode 1 is up there. It left a very strong impression. There are certain parts of it that I do forget, so I can't call it unforgettable. So I think I'm going to call it an A. It leaves a very strong implant to make people to, at least people who played back in 2012, people to want to play the rest of these, which season 3 didn't leave. I'm sure that a lot of people dropped off by the end. Season 2, again, by here, there's less people playing than here. But with season 1, I feel like it went up. Final season sort of just stagnant, which is sort of why Telltale's existence sort of went a bit like this. Episode 2 of season 1 is my favourite episode in season 1. It's a self-contained little thing, to be honest. It could have not been shown whatsoever. And it would still sort of make sense that the rest of this went on. It's the only really non-integral part of season 1, but at the same time, because of that, I like it. It's something you can. It's not to say not to say that it's something you can jump into and then like understand, and that's especially what you shouldn't be doing with these games. Don't play them in the wrong order. And it's better than episode 1. So an up ramp is always good like that. So we'll bring that up to unforgettable because I don't really think I'll forget that one. The way it all went down. I should say, just real quick, this is not going to be spoiler free. I've played through this. I'm going to mention things that happened. The twist, it's a twist you expect, but it's a twist that you expect, and it comes in much a worse way and much faster than you'd expect. Next is season 1, episode 3, Long Road Ahead, which was sort of adopted by Telltale, as you can see in episodes later down the line, as sort of the more iconic of the season 1 episodes. Maybe because it's exactly right in the middle, maybe because exactly the reason she says of the teaching to shoot, of the haircut and all that. Now, I do like the story that happens in this episode. There's of course the duck situation, which is the Lily situation, which all just sort of collapse into one and feel like a very good story beat that sort of it proves how scary it can be. I think my problem with it is I just find it a little bit boring. The gameplay itself, and walking around doing the puzzles. It's not exactly the perfect thing while you're in such a rush. And I can't help but put it in great time and not quite amazing experience, because I just sort of think it's up to episode 1 levels, even with all of the sad story things that happen. Now, episode 4, I used to really not like that much, but it is very important, and it's kind of more fun than the last one. Now, while Telltale games aren't remarkably fun at the highest points, which is over here, you do need to have some sort of stimulation when there's no real big story points happening. And I would put it amazing experience below episode 1. I wouldn't quite call it unforgettable. What is unforgettable is the ending of season 1 and the entire few situations that happened before that. People remember that after 10 years. I remember that, of course, after only about 2. But I could have got to it earlier, but I didn't. And I sort of thank myself for that. In a way, savouring the situation I never knew that I'd have to save. I think that undoubtedly becomes unforgettable below that episode, though, because I like it more. I think there's more going on there, and I think it serves a better story. I wouldn't call it the greatest episode of all time. That's not for a while, if you get me. Season 2, episode 1, All That Remains, is the episode that begins season 1, season 2, which is where you first enter into the cabin, Ormond and Chris, to sort of remove themselves from the series. And at the end, it's between Pete and Nick. Who do you want to go with? I think the same situation happens no matter what anyway. I think I really enjoy this episode. I really can stomach playing through this episode again every time. Even if it's such sort of a raw episode in that way. I'll call it an amazing experience. Would I call it better than I think I'd call it better than 1E4, but I wouldn't call it better than 1E1. So we'll put it there. Episode 2, House Divided. This is where you end up in the ski lodge. Kenny returns after only actually a 1 episode absence, if you think about it. Which is, he's in every episode of season 1, so it's not really a problem. He makes his presence known very quickly, trusting you or trusting him or trusting the group that you've been with for the last episode is one of the main choices he'll sort of think about, even only a little bit, but it still will. It's one of the ones that gets remembered. So it was nice not to get spoiled about Kenny's whole situation, that he returns and he's a major integral part of season 2. So I did really like the return of him, although I was a bit strange because he just did die, that was a thing that happened, and the way they write it off is a bit weird, because the odds that he survived, especially if you're on the Ben route where he's still there, and there's 25 billion zombies all around him. I don't see how he's living that, but you do you, Telltale. I can't call it unforgettable. I think it's better than the first episode, so we'll move 1E4 back, and we'll move 2E1 back, and we'll get 1E2 in that situation. Right there. 1E3 is the Carver episode, the episode where you're in his house hardware, and you have to work for him, and then eventually he gets removed. Now, I do love this episode. I don't think it's my favourite of season 2, because of the fact that you get to watch at the end, so we get the choice to watch, and the rest of the episode I've honestly not forgot, so I can't really call it not unforgettable. However, I think I don't know, maybe my favourite is this one then. We'll see. Right, Amid the Ruins is episode 4, and it's a very important episode in the Walking Dead lore, as the 9th episode in total. There's 10 more in which AJ are alive, so just over half if you think about it. AJ is born in this episode. It's a very important episode, and also if you were on the Jane side where Kenny's going a bit insane, this is the episode where you're going to start agreeing with that or siding with Kenny until you actually get the choice in the next episode. I wouldn't call it quite unforgettable because there's like everything except for the end and where Asia is born, which is a haze. I think I put it above episode 1 of the season, but not above episode 2 of the season, because importance doesn't make an episode good. While it still was good, it was, there's things there. 2E5 is the last episode. It's called No Going Back, and it's where you get to choose one of the 7 endings, which I'm hazing to think about. Well, there's the On Your Own ending after. So there's On Your Own ending with Kenny alive. There's On Your Own ending with Kenny dead. There's the Going to Wellington. There is the Leaving Wellington and Going with Kenny. There's the Jane. That's 5. I don't know if Jane has any spare endings. I've actually never done the Jane route. It's such a stupid decision to make. And all the endings except for Jane, which I've not seen, are unforgettable. So this sort of proves my previous point of liking season 2 better than season 1. Where season 2 sort of more consistently good here. But there are higher highs with season 1. With these episodes, I wouldn't call these 2 episodes better than these 2. I won't call any of these better than this, and such and such. Right, so now is the confusing part, because season 3 is a season that I do not remember. And honestly, I believe I'll just put all of these somewhere around completely indifferent. The only one I liked better than them was episode 4, because it's where it's sort of active. So I think that's exactly what I'm going to do. We'll sort of breeze past this one, because I'll sort of talk about what happened in the episodes. We've got the Ties That Bind series is like 1 and 2, the first 2 episodes. I don't know why they're separate like episodes, but they're the same name. Like they're completely different, or they're as different as this is to this, or this is to this, or this is to this. I don't know why these 2 have the same name, except for that they were released on the same day. Which sort of makes this just 4 episodes, like season 4 did, if you think about it. Also having to wait for a few months just for like an hour of an episode. While, grateful and all, but like, you gave me more episode and better episode here, and you give me much more episode and much better episode here. So, the first one, I know it's the one where at the end, like, I can know how the end. So the first one is Mariana gets killed and ends the whole fight. Then you've got episode 2 where David shows up when you're at the door of the whole thing. Then you got episode 3 where I still have to rank these. Like, I would say that David showing up is better than the first episode. Well, wouldn't I? Yeah, I liked. It's probably the most memorable episode from there. So yeah, I would move this down, move this along, and then move this up. Then David showing up, and then Above the Law, which I actually can't remember a single scene from, goes there, but I know it ends with you being in prison. And then there's Thicker Than Water, which is the one I like the best because it's the most active one. There's the whole John situation, there's the whole fighting that goes on right at the end. There's a lot of things that happen basically. This is the climax, and then this is the sort of getting away from it all, which I would say that is better than both of these, to be honest. So we'll move these along. The whole season of 3 is like Telltale just trying to change it up, and it doesn't work. Your series is not about Javier, and Javier's a good character, and all he's in me top like 5 or something, but it's sort of jarring for someone playing the whole series. Which also puts, because I know that these are not going there, this episode Above the Law as the Woat, unfortunately. Sorry, David's face. That's unfortunate. Let's move that there. And now we're on to season 4, which I don't regret playing any of these. Woat is sort of less worse than these and more the Woat. It's like there could be a tier, and that's like the highest tier for anything. There's no S tiers, but then there is always going to be a GOAT, because they're going to be best episode. Episode 1, Done Running. This is the first episode. Partly due to the fact that I played all these episodes in a row. I do remember exactly what happened in each episode, so I can do the whole story now. So it's like you drive up and then you crash, and you go into the station, then you crash, and and live at the school. You learn about all of them for a while, and sort of you get yourself ingrained into the society. Eventually, you go back to the station to get all the food. You push Abel or you don't push Abel, and then you go back, and then Mal and everyone's sort of a bit mad at you, Brody, after you've got the food but you've been outside the safe zone. And it ends when Mal and Brody are arguing about being outside the safe zone. They've met someone, Abel, from who Marlon had traded away, and then AJ shoots him. Episode 2 is the one where they get kicked out. They meet James, they meet Lily first, and then they go back, and then they get ready for war, and then they do the little big fight inside the school, and then they have Abel at the end. 3 is where they sort of torture Abel, and find out where the boat is, and then they go to, I think directly after that they go to James. James says he'll send in his walkers so that they can go and hit them back, and then they have a party, and then there's the flashback, and then they go to the boat, and then they get locked to the boat, and then they make the only decision possible, which is killing Lily. And then the final episode, they were going away at the end of in a cave, with or without James. You speak to Violet or to Lewis, depending on who you picked. Then you depending on who you picked. And then you end up in the bridge, and you try and get across, and then Minnie shows up, and then you fight, and then you leg, and then you climb, and then you bit, and then you barn, and then you hit with the axe, and then you flashback, which then leads to AJ going into the thing, Glendola, because he didn't do it, but the hat back at the end. So this is probably the season of which I have the best knowledge, shall I say, mainly because it's been my favourite one. There's a very quick thing I'm going to do. Boom, that's the best episode. It's got everything that it needs. It's got activity, it's got the fun gameplay, or the funnest that Telltale can get to at least. It's got the revenge arc, it's got the flashback, it's got the party, which is so haunting, especially if you're playing with Violet there, who does the singing, which you're eventually reminded of. I don't think you actually ever hear it when you're playing with Lewis. I don't think Lewis plays that on piano, but I can't remember because I've never. The first time I did play, I think I chose Lewis, but I didn't get far enough for him to be the love interest, so we'll have to see. I know remarkably little about the versions of events that aren't the one I chose, basically, but I know exactly everything else. Done running episode 1, so I've mentioned what happens in this. I think the quality of this episode as an opener, I loved all the characters the moment that they started, warming up to me. But I think I'm going to have to put it unforgettable. This is it's a very weighted list. But it's either unforgettable or very high amazing experience. But I think I'm going to put it unforgettable. Episode 2, Suffer the Children, which I just mentioned. What happens in it? I don't think it's as good as episode 1. So that will be the one that I'm going to put high air, I think. So, it's going to take ages. I'll cut ahead with this part. Right, and that goes in there. So, the final episode of the entire series. Think about it. The only other episode that's made me genuinely upset to the point of near tears, and I don't mean upset like sad, it's just more of a word. Upset, sort of like I'm angry, sort of, is this one. But I do like it more than that one, and I probably like it more than this. So once again, I'll cut ahead once I've moved all these. So there we have it, the final list. Well, let's see, because this was a good tactic I employed last time, which is that I go for each one and I say if it's actually better than the one before. So, do I like Season 4, Episode 3 better than Season 4, Episode 4? So do I like the whole Lily situation better than the whole Bit situation? I think it's more of an active episode. I do like it more. Do I like the whole Bit situation better than the farm? Yeah, it definitely affected me more. Do I like the farm more than the Lee death? And I think that is because while the Lee death is sad, I think I was more entertained by that episode, by the Starve for Help. Do I like Lee's death more than Carver? That's a quite easy yes. Do I like Carver's episode more than the final episode of Season 2? Yes. Do I like the final episode of Season 2 more than the first episode of Season 4? I don't. I like this first episode more, I think, because yeah. And do I like that more than the Carver one? I wouldn't go that far. I think the Carver one was the first time I was proper like, We're in proper peril now. So that's better than that. Do I like the season? Well, I do because it's on a separate thing. So I've either done it wrong or I do. I do like yeah. So I do like the ending more than episode 2 of season 4. Season 4 more better than the first ever episode. I think the very first ever episode edges out a house divided, which is very slightly than the episode that came before it. Which I do like more than the episode of which AJ is born. Which I do like more than episode. I do like slightly more than episode 4 of the season before it. Which I like more than the train episode, which is iconic, but I say it's just a bit boring. It's a bit too long. It's a little bit of a drag. I like that more than the season 3 episode, and then the rest of the season 3 episodes I've sort of gone through because I had to rank them like so. I think that's a good list finish then. Looking at it, there's no massive things sticking out to me. These do warrant a separate tier, I think, because I forget elements of this, but not of these other episodes. Episode 2 is the only one I really forget sometimes. And then the other seasons are sort of evenly matched throughout. So I think that finishes it off then. I believe I've been recording for like 25 minutes now. But we've got a good list in there. We've got a good list, a good decent talk. And I think I might do a tier list every week or two. If I can think of a valid tier list that sort of works for my channel. I might do one for the characters in this. I might do one to do with Life is Strange, but I'd need more episodes for that. I've only played 5 of them, 10 of them in total, plus Captain Spirit. I might go through True Colours just to make that list happen. So then I've got 16 on the just below the 19 I've got here. So, well, that's it then. That's been a tier list of all the episodes of the Walking Dead game. Disagree? Then you can put your comments in the description where no one will read them. But that's about it. I don't know why I've been outroing for so long. This is it. I've been Zwaxter. This has been a tier list of the Walking Dead episodes for the game. And goodbye.